Hello there, YouTube. This is Sibbles and Bits back at it again with Inkbound. Today is Thursday, so we are going to be playing Obelisk. Just a little upfront before we get into the run here. I'm going to make an official announcement on the channel later, but I'm kind of planning on actually doing like more in-depth breakdowns of like individual things in the game. I think I got a couple of ideas to start, but it'd also be kind of interesting to hear from you guys if you have anything that you'd like me to talk about. Um, Stuff like, I don't know, why I make certain decisions or my opinions on X or Y. Um, some like early game build advice or stuff like that. Any of those types of things. Stuff that I can't necessarily fill 10 to 20 minutes just talking about in the middle of a run because I have to stay in the headspace of the run, or stuff that like doesn't really come up that often, or stuff that maybe I'm looking at, or a way to put it is it's a unknown known. I know the information, I just don't know that it's information that needs to be explained. But you guys are watching something and you're like, okay, like why exactly do you always do X or Y? Or when you talk about this, you mention this, what exactly is that? I can either answer them down in the comments below if they're simple, or if I feel like it's a good conversation, I can go ahead and make a video about it. Kind of similar to how Join Orbs, who's renowned for over in Slay the Spire, sort of started doing a breakdown of every common in the game, every common card in the game. I think he's trying to do every card period, but he started with every Ironclad common. And it's quite interesting exactly like how much you can come up with and discuss something as simple as like your strike. But I figure that at least a week should be enough for me to come up with all, like, most of the stuff that I'm trying to think of. And then I can just talk about it and just kind of like splurge everything on, like, while recording something, put up some footage to it. Some of you guys might know from back when we were doing Month of Ravens Watch that you're like, hold up a minute, didn't you promise to do this before and then you never did? Well, the thing about the stuff that I was promising in Ravens Watch is that all that requires heavy editing. I'm still working on the map mechanics. However, just to put it into perspective, the introduction video that I made for this game, Inkbound, is only 10 minutes long. That took me 12 hours of editing. Now, maybe I'm terrible at editing. Maybe editing is a lot of work. I think it's obviously a little bit of both, but it's certainly like as soon as editing gets involved, it becomes unrealistic for me with my current time schedule because I also have a full-time job elsewhere. Whereas even at that full-time job, I can think up of like all the reasons why I never take Cultivate and then sort of give my opinions on that at the end of the week. So again, if you have any questions that you have or any topics like that, go ahead and put them down in the comments below as usual. Again, if they're quick questions, I'll go ahead and I'll answer them. If they're good, like, thought-provoking questions that could merit a discussion, I'll put them like on a list and I'll start going through them. Anyways, to the run. Looking at all this, my only problem with apply spike or dodge attacks 40 times, um, Obelisk is probably one of the only classes that you would think is like, oh, this is going to be pretty easy, right? Obelisk actually doesn't have spike synergy. Like it sounds weird because they have two ascensions that use spikes, right? There is Shell for Ironclap, and there is Battering Ram, I believe it's called, for Shield Bash. But those happen at the end of book 1 if you're lucky, and then you have to start grinding them up, and then getting 40 instances of that, like of spiked on Shield Bash, or maybe you get the purple Og to get spiked off of Ironclap, at which case getting 40 is pretty easy. But now you have to dedicate your build into doing that. Or you have to get lucky and roll. Like, there's really not a lot. Let me go ahead and spikes. So this will do it once per battle. That's not going to give it to you. This will give you 1 stack per turn, which is pretty good, but it's a common, so you're never going to see it unless you exclusively buy it or go out of your way to draft Vestiges in book 1, which isn't a great idea. Beat of Metal's pretty good because it means that you're going to get 1 per turn, which is still going to be difficult to get up to 40. Swindler's Getaway is first turn, and if you already have Needles, then you don't need your run quest anymore. There is, right here, this is Armored Porcupine. It's a purple, so it's also late game, but it's probably the easiest way to get that because it's every time that you gain shielding, or shielding, you will gain 1 stack of spiked. So that's pretty good, but you would have to up tier in your shop out of the blue choice just to get offered the chance of being offered Armored Porcupine when this is very late in the quest line. Like, I only have, like, I think 10 or 15 more Vestiges to go because one of the quest lines has just been annoying for me. I still don't have this. And that is how rare Spikes is in this game. Now, some people might say it's because Spikes is very powerful. Sure, whatever, but still, to look at a run quest that says this and be like, okay, yeah, 40 times, very easy on God, I lost everything. On Obelisk. No, it's really not. It requires a huge dedication to your build, whereas most of these other ones don't require any dedication, or even the, burn, the ailments inflicting. Just requires drafting a binding. And you might even say, well, hold up now, Bits. There is a binding that gives you spiked Shield Wall. Shield Wall is ass. Like, okay, so we're going to say every 4 turns now, well, 2 if you're getting your orbs, you get to apply spiked once. So it's going to count for 1 of these. And you're going to take something that can actually kill enemies and use that instead. No. God, no. Like, even if you're doing a defensive build, Shield Wall is terrible. Like, it doesn't even block 1 attack. Like, just use After Image if you're trying to be tanky. Like, it's... I don't know. It's on my list of things that need buffs, but that's a very long list, and if it's anything I've noticed from other games, when you have a long list, nothing gets done. So, I'm sure that's not to, like, harp on the dev. The devs are working hard on the game. They're putting out patches at a very good rate, but, you know, you have to decide what's more important, right? And sometimes, I don't know, like, I would think that having anything that's available to the general public, like, say, drafted bindings, should be, like, a primary concern, but I guess it, you know, I don't even know how to. During the pre-alpha, it was OP because defenses were easy to come by. I don't know, but anyways, we're not going here. Is the the moral of the story? We're very good for Argoloth. Most of our Ironclap Ascensions just win us the game against Argoloth, and fully augmenting 3 bindings. We want to do that anyways, right? So it's really not a terrible thing for us. But we just did a tanky run on Weaver, and so doing a tanky run on Obelisk, Otherwise, spend Quillings, we don't know what we're going into, something could happen. Like, this seems much more interesting to me. If you guys think otherwise, be sure to leave a comment down below or something like that. Anyways, Shadows of Runestone. We just getting money. Easiest run of my life. These are some pretty good stuff. I like Parsimony's Power Source. It's pretty good on Obelisk because we have poor will economy. With our 2 cost and our 2 cost and our 1 cost that's actually good and we don't mind spamming, being able to get 1 free will changes us a lot. Tracker's Cleats is also really good. Generally speaking, you want to try and kill all direct attackers. Most direct attackers are what I call trash mobs, or like the little mobs with a little bit of health. So if you get enough damage, you just go ahead and you use Seismic Slam and it takes care of it. But sometimes you can't kill everything, or like it's a medium or a heavy that's actually trying to deal direct damage to you. And so being able to clear up all the trash, control the battlefield, and then ignore the heavy that's trying to kill you is very helpful. I think that Tracker's Cleats is like... I probably say this about something every single time, and I've said it more than like 25 times, but it's like one of my top 25 like vestiges in the game. In the game, because of how useful it is even into the late game. Like it's really good. Otherwise, Burden of Wisdom, really bad on us. Obviously, we can swap over into magic damage. Maybe we're using a status effect to deal all of our damage. But we really don't know that, and we can't start out with that as Obelisk. So, Burden of Wisdom just feels bad. If I want to not do damage right now, I might as well just use Parsimonious and gain a will for it. Because, guess what? That's more damage. Otherwise, Tracker's Cleats... If we were going for, what was it, Argoloth, Tracker's Cleats would almost be an insta-pick for me. Because there's always those tentacles off on the sides that are trying to, like, plink you. There's usually, like, 1 or 2. Being able to eliminate one of those is incredible. Chance to gain shield. I really like it. Critical shield bash, it's okay. I wouldn't recommend it though. Like that's one of the bits specialties that I'm like, I'm feeling spicy. This will work good enough. I would not recommend. Like there's so many things that it's going to do better for you in a general case than critical shield bash. That like crits, Augs in general is also pretty much on my list of things that need buffs. Shielding Ironclap, just a chance for an additional shield, is pretty good. It's a way to help us trade. Now that we have an extra will, we're probably going to be using Shielding Ironclap again. The only thing that I can understand, but not really, is it's a chance for shield. But generally speaking, your Ironclap, let me put it this way. You're usually, or I'm usually stuffing my Ironclap full of whites and greens because both of its whites are just incredible. I really don't care. I want to get it out of the vestige pool so that I can put purples into other things. So it's my dump stat, and its commons are really fucking good. If you're just using Ironclap, you're mainly trying to proc Crush. So the amount of damage it does doesn't matter. Like, Crush is your primary damage. The fact that it deals 10 damage, okay. The fact that the other common is plus 10 damage, really freaking good. Like, that brings you up to 20. That means that you, if you end up getting like 55 ability power or 5 physical power, like with Valmark, now you're at 30 damage. 30 damage is a very good break point to be at. And so using my common, like seriously, I would load up my Ironclap with all commons if I could. I don't care if they're shields. I don't care if they're plus 10 damage. It doesn't matter because every time that I'm using Ironclap, it's to trade and finish off trash mobs, and it does that at a baseline. Anything else is a benefit. Dense Seismic Slam, I don't, like, I understand why this is here and contesting with the plus 15 damage. One stack of crush is basically 15 damage. I just don't know why you wouldn't just take the plus 15 damage, because that then gets scaled with crits, it gets scaled with ability power, physical power, just like the plus 1 crush does. Certain builds scale with actually dealing crush. Unless you see something out of the box, I don't think that it actually like does. It doesn't do anything. The only advantage of crush versus hitting is if you're going up against Giannis, crush does not count as a hit. So, you're able to just deal like technically massive crush damage, and that way you bypass his mechanic. But the only way that you're going to be able to deal massive crush damage is if you put 2 of these on top of Seismic Slam, and just no, just no. This occurs too early to actually like build into, in my opinion, because it requires too much stuff to actually pop off. But I respect the fact that it is technically plus 15 damage, and the other AUG is plus 15 damage. And it's a very interesting way of having different but same, right? Anyways, that was a very long way to say we're taking Shielding Ironclad. I could consider re-rolling this, actually, because we would probably trade better if this had plus 10 damage. And in fact, yeah, we're going to go ahead and we'll do that. Increased range on shield charge is also very good if you're relying on this to move around. But sometimes I grab it, sometimes I don't. Like, I would say commons on Shield Bash is the ones that are like, wouldn't recommend, but they're not absolutely non-zero or like zero integers. Anyways, actually going into the run. Now we spent 15 minutes talking about Obelisk. God, this is why the videos are longer, but I'm hoping that this is at least entertaining for you guys to have this discussion, because, I don't know, over at Atheneum, people loved it. They really liked me vocalizing, like, what's going on in my head, especially with the mental stack that's required in this game, and that game for that matter. Overstimulated isn't the worst thing. Like, it's going to cause us to trade a lot of health. Do I hate it more than Shimmering Barricade with Nim? Nim with Shimmering Barricade is kind of spooky, but this is Book 1 Nim, so we can ignore his minions for the first turn, except for the ones that are spawned in due to the, what is it, Gold 3? Gold 3? No, not Gold 3. It's villains have additional... Silver 2. Guardians have additional forces to defend them. Those guys actually deal damage, and we'd have to take care of them. Proving Grounds. So, I just said that Crush is a great way to bypass Giannis's mechanic, and then I said that it's not a good idea. Obelisk is terrible versus Giannis. Like, we've got good chunky damage on cooldowns. We could just hit him with this. Maybe we get a DOT, like Poison Vapors, Incendiary, and that's how we're going to solve that. But I'm also not going to go into final chapters for that as well, because that's a little suffer, in my opinion. Because it's going to be very hard for us to dispatch his minions while also clipping him, even with this additional will, in my opinion. So I'm looking at these two here, and I'm thinking that Overstimulated isn't too bad. It synergizes very well with Unstable Circuitry. Should we grab it? We can use that as a huge, like, AoE vector if we look into that. And like I said, it's not too bad. We just need to find sources of shielding now to protect us from when we are picking up the orbs, which might just be Ironclad, which I guess we re-rolled out of that. If we can get another 2 Common Augs in there that's shielding, oof, chef's kiss. And Flask of Serendipity is great for us. We can use that to push pots. One thing that I don't really discuss a lot is my potion management. I kind of mentioned it. So you always have the pots that you're coming up against. And one thing that I noticed on the Discord is that everybody mentions at higher difficulties you don't get pots. It's not something that happens. This class can't do pots at higher difficulties, so you lose out on a lot. And that's why this class is bad. If you're missing out on pots, you did something wrong. I'm sorry. You have access to 2 potions before pots even show up. They should have 1 damage potion. Otherwise, you should be building into damage, if possible, out of your sea of ink, because damage is very important in the beginning of the game. So, if you don't have any of those things, and you're walking past all of them for, like, I don't know, plus spike damage or something like that, something that's not going to help you kill pots, you really don't get to say that, like, you were scuffed at, like, character select on pots or something like that. I kind of, like, wasn't paying attention because I was too busy, like, complaining. So, okay. It's not too bad. Again, -1 health. Oh, no! Anyways. Alright, let's... I would love to be able to hit the 2 of you. Just the 2 of you. They're gonna make me cry. It looks like that's our venue right there, which means that this is how we're gonna solve this. Okay, that looks good. We're gonna trade here. Again, trading on battle 1 happens a lot, especially when you don't have a damage, like, vestige. But, all in all, I think this has gone pretty well. I am not unhappy with that. Because when you consider the fact that we also lost 1 max health, we only lost, like, 5 health. Which is what I would call acceptable breakage. So, we don't need to heal. We don't technically like magic power. We're going to take some crit damage. Oh, maybe it does something. Does more than the other things. Like I said, shielding ironclap. We're taking it. If anything, to prove a point. Come on, shield wall. Don't do this to me. We're taking incendiary. It's the only real option here. Invigorate can be a thing on... I think Invigorate is fine on Weaver, Obelisk, and Clairvoyant, because they have good, juicy payout attacks. The problem is that you are spending 1 will to deal, at the start of the game, double damage, which is great. But at the end of the game, it falls off because you usually have power, so you're not gaining double damage anymore. And that's my one problem with it. I don't want to necessarily take things that don't really solve my problems now and don't solve any problems in the late game. I'm perfectly fine taking something like After Image on a crit build, even though later on After Image doesn't do anything on a crit build once you get your crit chance up. I'm perfectly fine taking Poison Vapor just to kill the first book boss. I do not think that Invigorate is going to help us any more versus Lusk than Incendiary, because Incendiary in this build currently does more damage. We do have an extra will though, so if I was going to pick it up, it would be here. Elemental Ale is great bossing. It could be, in a pinch, how we kill pots. But we have... I mean, maybe Flask of Serendipity wouldn't do it. We would do, what? 140 damage, maybe Clap, and then Crush for 200. We may need the Elemental Ale in that situation. Anyways, we are going to blop these fools. I generally save that till turn 2 because there's going to be more enemies on the field. But maybe I mathed this wrong. I'm going to need all of this to actually gain a hold of this battlefield in particular because of where the enemies spawned. just missed him. That's fine. You're taking... You're going to still be alive. Barely. If I had just one physical power. But as you can see, that plus 10 damage is bringing us pretty freaking close. A lot close. And it's done more damage than plus 15 Seismic Slam would do. This is kind of nasty. What in the heck? I think I might need to use Flask here. God damn. Why you like this? Okay, you're gonna get close. I'll have to figure that one out. But I think we go over here. Hit that. Hit that. And then we're gonna walk ourselves over here. We get the orb somewhere. It's right there. We were going to take a ludicrous amount of damage if we didn't use that flask. Let's make sure to get that in there. This is interesting. So we can technically build in the spike damage. So that's not a zero integer. It'd be nice to have a little bit of it. I think we're fine on health. We can grab that. Plus 2 stacks of burn. I would honestly like to re-roll these and put anything on Ironclap. You guys are thinking that I'm crazy. I know you guys are thinking that I'm crazy. Let's go here. What do we got? We got a fish. A helmet crab. Very good for the boss. Now these are more my speed. Greens on Shield Bash make it just more usable. Negative cooldown puts it down at 1, so that every time that we pick up an orb, we would be able to use it again. Now, technically speaking, I wouldn't really advise that as a general strategy at this point in the game. It's more infrastructure because of the fact that it's how augs work. Because if you guarantee your purple there, which is relatively easy to do, we've almost done it, you can get -1 will, and then all of a sudden this is just a jankier, like, leap that does more damage. So I could also see putting the increased range on there just so that you hit more targets with it. You can put another purple on it for plus 100 damage, and then it just starts cracking open things. However you want to go about that. I think that Quickened Incendiary might be the ticket here, but I also don't disrespect using Seismic Slam just to grab Shatter. Against Runestone, Seismic Slam, unless we get like Earthquake, likely isn't going to be a huge like dealer for us because there's tons of tanky enemies. So being able to use it just to get a little bit more damage on Runestone on certain turns seems much better for our time. But again, just making Shield Bash more usable is also like a huge highlight for me. Bringing Incendiary down to 2 turns means that you are able to use it, pick up an orb, and then use it the next turn. So it actually becomes every other turn you're able to use Incendiary. It's a great way to add damage. And especially because most of its ascensions add a cooldown to it, it helps sort of offset that stuff. But generally speaking, I don't think, like, some builds want to ascend Incendiary. I think it's perfectly fine the way it is. But, yeah, all of these are very notable. I think for our strategy, we are going to... I don't know, have I shown off the comet before? Like, Like, this is actually a difficult decision for me. Let's take... Let's try and survive this boss, even though I think we already have. Let's take that. And then +5 stacks of burn is pretty dang good. Adding 30 damage to Seismic Slam is very notable. The only thing about Seismic Slam is that technically your blue augments are increasing damage by 100%, but the fact that it's like screen-wide AoE is pretty much like, okay, whatever. So it just lost like, you know, it's technically a 50% increase. Still feels great because it helps you hit a lot of breakpoints, especially in this early game. Like dealing 95, that pretty much takes care of... Does it take care of the little Lusks? I don't know. It takes care of bats for sure at this point. Inflicting Dazed with shield charge is pretty good if we're going with a moderately tanky build. We're kind of going for a damage build. Like, we have shielding Ironclap, but it's whatever. I think that actually applying more burn is worth a lot more damage for us, especially now that we're applying this more often. And then we would probably want to use a purple here. Either one is fine, but obviously, like, I'm sure I do it all the time. I want plus damage taken on this because it offsets DR and it's a multiplier. But even if it ended up being like plus burn damage, like that might be the correct play at the time. So we're going to take Blazing Incendiary. Glyph Globe. Do we actually need to reroll a purple? We could. We should be able to... Like, we won't be able to guarantee, but if we get our Aug, our purple Aug on Incendiary, and it's the one that we want, then we pretty much only have 3 other augments, or 3 other skills. So from then on, we can guarantee exactly what we want. And that's primarily why I don't mind filling up Ironclap with a bunch of commons, because these get so much better with the later game relics. And again, Ironclap does not care. We're going to be spamming it regardless. Now, you could get stuff like free use. Late game, I think there's stuff like +1 Frostbite, +1 Crush, +1 Spiked. In my opinion, all not worth it. Hot take of the century. I could see a Vault. But I think lining up our skills is going to be important. So we're going to take a Glyph Globe. And we are going to get Treasure Pot. We have an Elemental Ale for it. And we have a frick ton of burn. So I would like to not, but I might use Slam. I think to get Treasure Pot, we kind of have to. Okay, it's dead. Are you dead? You're not dead. Let's get a little bit closer to you, shall we? You down there are pretty much dead. Maybe it was a bit too aggressive. Like, I think we totally overkilled that pot. But, it certainly wasn't a case where we couldn't do it. Oh, I thought I saw Magic Pixel. It might just be because he's orange. Like, one thing is to note, though, this guy is kind of buffing everybody, and I don't like it. So we are going to clap him in the face. Because otherwise, these guys have damage shield, and I don't want to trade any more health than I technically have to. This, honestly, might just be... Well, you're actually going to die when I Iron Clap you once. So let's go ahead and just hit you like this. And then we'll clap. We'll clap again. And then we'll clap up. Can I... Nope. Okay. Bring you so that you're dying due to the burn, so you won't be able to put damage shield on everybody. Nice. I want you guys to burn all right. Let's move out as much as we possibly can while still being in the orb range, because we are going to wiggle using it. Maybe what I need is like shield on hit on Seismic Slam just to allow me to trade with orbs better. It's probably the case. Oh, I don't need to burn a cooldown. We have tons of will. One more just because. Okay. Yeah, Blight Bombs, Ink Drains. Like, this is kind of a nasty setup. Go ahead, hit you guys again. Yeah, this is pretty much gonna happen. Maybe getting Double Crush was the right move, because that would have killed this guy. Might be something to note. Otherwise, this guy would have like 75 HP. He's getting plus 50% because of Ink Blorb, whatever you want to call it. And so he technically has like 65 base AP, meaning that he should have been dead when we used Seismic Slam. If we had the plus 30, he still wouldn't be dead. That's another thing to note. Sometimes it's okay to get flapped, like I said, so long as you're learning something, because even that information right there that I was mentioning, those are things and use cases that you want to know, especially in your early game. I think we're healing here as much as I would like the crit chance. They're shielding Seismic Slam. I'm not going to say it and not take it. It would have helped us trade a lot. Especially because most of our damage, I believe, is us picking up orbs right away. Oh, man. So, Chain Lightning. We don't have very good single target. Like, it's still notable with stuff like Seismic Slam. Makes everybody take plus 50% damage from Seismic Slam. I'll tell you what, though. It's not really doing it for me. Poison Vapor. Eh? I guess in a weird situation, we might be able to get our legendary early if we had Pilfer, but the cases where that's the case is actually quite little. You can get an orb off Pilfer. I don't disrespect the Quillings, I just don't see them as useful, especially in the early game. It's more of a late game setup, but if you make it the late game, usually you've won. So it's really Poison Vapor, which I'd honestly prefer not to take. I could see re-rolling this. Like, Poison Vapor isn't bad. We can get another plus damage on it. It deals damage for us. Again, it's not terrible. I don't want it to always be take Incendiary Poison Vapor and then just DOT enemies. So maybe just with that argument, it's time to take Pilfer and actually use it for a change. Do we honestly need another... Like, that's kind of the thing. Obelisk is so slow that I think he honestly needs another damage binding. Not necessarily. Like, even Blink I would take. Like I said, I'd take Blink on just about anybody. I just hate using a will to gain money. Like, I understand that the greed is good mentality is there, and it's kind of nice. And especially when it ascends, it does things. But, I don't know. We'll frickin' take it. I don't take things specifically for an ascension, because you can't guarantee an ascension. Like, you can use all the rerolls you want. Probably not going to happen. Like, maybe you'll get it. I think that part of the game is pretty good, because you can't really deterministically guarantee a specific ascension. Like, you would like it, and I think that that's makes healthy decisions when you're in the middle of a run. Braced Belt is something. If we get, what is it? Shield Rush? Shield Crash? The one that scales off his shielding. That gives us a very good turn 1. But I don't necessarily think that that's... Like, it's +1 shielding. We should take it for 35. I guess we could take Pendant of the Pendant of the Weaver to save our life. Interesting. Braided Acacia. It's more life. It's technically like pseudo thorns. We can scale it. I could see us taking these, re-rolling, and hoping for another good common. Since we have Pilfer, we don't have to worry about money. Or Shattered Crown? Holy. Damage versus Dazed would have been nice, but of course we're not in that timeline. This is pretty much exactly what we're looking for. That's very great bossing. And it makes all of our abilities except for Incendiary better. We'll take it. Oh. Too late on that. God, I love that. Okay. So I need to do this and figure out how I'm going to kill these little lusks. Steal from somebody. Can I get away with stealing? I want to do this. We can hit this. Wiggle. Power Orb. Can we steal from here? No. I guess we're not trading, so we can go ahead and steal from this man. Give me your money. That was 26 Quillings. Woohoo. I'll tell you what, though. I'll trade 0 damage for it. All right. Hit that. And we're just going to wiggle ourselves out of this AoE. Seems good. Let's go ahead and burn you all right. And I think Shield Bash is probably going to be okay here. We don't have to use our Seismic Slam quite yet. It might be off cooldown. 2 turns? Are we going to kill you in 2 turns? Oh, we're going to kill you in 2 turns. Yeah, so we're not going to use our Seismic Slam. And instead, we're just going to bully you like this. Because that's how we are. If we take this, we will trade 1 health. Are we okay with that? Yeah. I'll trade 1 HP. Just you? Well, we're going to take this turn to steal from you, since, I mean, we're not taking any damage. And really nothing else to do. There's no reason to do anything. We can take this orb to reduce the cooldown of Pilfer. Don't care. Let's get more AP next turn. Because we're probably going to have to Seismic Slam, like, the entire neighborhood. I like this grouping here. This is great for our Iron Clap and or Shield Bash. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Put Shatter on everything. And then we are going to pick up this orb. But let's wiggle a bit. Let's not pick up that orb until we use this. Excuse me. Come on. Okay, we'll do it this way then, if that's how you're going to be. Then we want to wiggle. Pick up that orb. Blap you. And then charge up. Pick up that orb. Burn you again. And this is pretty much over. Okay, that was me screwing up there. I thought I was going to be within this power orb range. I should have made more certain that that was going to happen, but this is fine. My only regret is that I could not steal from that thing. We're going to steal from this guy, though. There's no way we're not going to. So, I'm going to grab that. Lap. Let's go ahead and burn you, and then we're going to pretty much use all of our will doing this because it helps us break even. And you're pretty much toast. Gonna slam, bash. Shield slam? I don't know if shield slam's actually better here. If we get the -1 cooldown, the purple mod, battering ram becomes free. Imagine what we can do with all that. Again, this is why we take the low rarities on Ironclap to help us through the early game, and then we just absolutely roid out our other skills. Let's see what we have up here. We have plus 100 damage. I can see us taking Fueling Incendiary right here, simply because it guarantees, again, that situation where I said, we have a plus damage modifier, so we love it, and we will only get mods for these guys going up through the ranks. The question is do we honestly need plus 100 damage? We might. But I think with Fueling Incendiary and maybe getting another source of plus burn, the plus damage there, plus our shatter, is going to add up to like plus 50% damage. Basically, if both those conditions are met, whatever we're attacking is pretty much already shocked. Which would have, at that point, been very good if we had taken shock. As far as like dazing everything, like this is good. I really like this if I would have taken Sovereign Flag, because again, it's another +% modifier that's in its own multiplicative bin with the other +% modifiers. And once you start racking those up, you get to just ignore whatever the heck it is that Runestone wants to do. Like, no, it's our turn. Our turn every turn, and that's how you get the 3-turn kills pretty much, or you just have exorbitant damage. Anyways, I think it's going to be Fueling Incendiary for the reasons mentioned. It sets us up to just kit out our skills from this point on. And of these here, Shield Slime seems like it's the best because of the fact that we're adding plus 250 damage to it. But again, just the usability of Battering Ram is so hard to not... And it also has plus 50 damage to it. You gotta understand that. Without any other investment, it does another plus 50 damage because it guarantees a crush. Possibly 2, depending on how many stacks of crush they have right now. So it's technically a 230 skill that then synergizes with other things that we currently don't have. Whereas, I don't know if Braced Belt is going to stay in our build the whole time. So then what do we do? Anyways, like, I think both of these are perfectly viable options. If Shield Slam with Brace Belt even gets you 2 Runestone, and you've got like the bonus damage modifiers, maybe you're buying your build because you took Belfer, then like you've won the game. What you have to do is just get past Book 1, get past the Book 3 Elites, and if you've been making like even moderately sound decisions through that point, you've won the game. And we're at Inkbound, right? Like you've seen the bit special. I take things that aren't good on purpose just to feel something, all right? Like locking down your battle flow chart and making good early game decisions will just set you up for wins. We're taking Battering Ram though because I just fucking love it so much. It's so good. Oh man. Oh, man. Emotional damage? We don't want to take ability power because we have parsimonious power source. Most of our damage is physical anyways. Like, I don't care about scaling burn. Burn does its job just fine as is, and it's technically just there to add a multiplier for us. Physical power, which with newly added battering ram, since physical power also hits our crush, feeling great. Dare I say, I'm almost feeling good to go to Radiant Market, especially if that's where the money's at. If you're going to try and dissuade me with Wit Thief, it will not work. Otherwise, each time an enemy is hit, they gain 10% damage resist. Absolutely terrible on us. We do have access to Shatter, which helps offset that. But at the end of the turn, we just do a lot of little dinky claps, or do a lot of little dinky claps to move around and deal some damage. So then this affects our crush. I don't like it. I don't like it on this class. Clairvoyant really likes Inkshell, in my opinion. Gunkfilled. I'm melee. I don't like that. We're going to go to Radiant Market, and we're going to be stinking rich. Stinking rich. Why did we take Pilfer? Just roll Wit Thief, forehead. Tell you what, though, it would be nice to have a Quilling Net right now. Do we need more money? Like, do we do it as a joke? Do we take more money as a joke? Let's take more money as a joke. Why not? We already took Pilfer. Let's do some ha-ha funny stuff. There's no such thing as too much money. Why would Bits ever tell you that? He's always telling you take money in the early game. Why wouldn't you take money in the late game if it's so good? Okay. That... Oh, man. They're toast. Oh, let's just, No, we really should set ourselves up to go down there, even if this isn't going to affect its cooldown. Bap, bap. These guys with Rampager don't scare me. I will not be... I do not negotiate with terrorists. The fact that they only do AoE means that Rampager is very easy to avoid so long as you're not Bits and you forget to count how much, like, will you have. At that point, they're pretty scary, but... Okay, tell you what. Let's, probably should have done this before we grabbed... I can't get both of you guys. Okay, never mind then. Be rude. See if I care. So we're going to instead throw this here then. Because we still need to do a little bit of wiggling with this. Do we want to do this instead? Seems like we almost want to do this instead. Or do we want to do this? Because this gives us shielding. So we should have done it up there. This would technically give us... This would not trade us more health, actually. Well, actually it would. Because we would gain 3 shield on top of it. Otherwise, this is 1, maybe 2 shields. And kills 4 damage. So... we would trade down to 7 damage taken. This would do technically the same thing, but we gain 3 shields guaranteed, which is going to put us at... Maths. 5. We would trade 5. Do I really care about the difference between 7 and 5? I don't think I do. Oh, and we get to use this again. That would be the reason why we wouldn't do that. So we get 3 shielding anyways, almost. And deal damage to other things. And I need to steal from somebody today. Yo, that was like 37! We're gonna be stinking rich! Let's go up here. Stay relatively close. And then we'll just wiggle. Okay, I guess I kind of screwed that up. Well, we're going to burn you anyways. We're going to trade a little bit more here. Maybe we should have taken that damage. Nah, it's mainly because they've got a defensive mod, and these enemies in particular are pretty bad for us in particular, being an Obelisk that does not have evasion. So that's where those tracker cleats, especially with battering ram, would have been really clutch. I really don't care about topping off our health, especially when tasked with these things here. One thing, unless we get shell, we're not really going to get spikes, unless we go into, what is it, we could still get a beat of metal. We would need to grab needles, which we can't guarantee. So spike damage, now that we've already used our ascension for shield bash, feels really bad, and so I really don't want to grab it. So we're going to go ahead and take crit damage anyways, even though I could also see you wanting to restore HP, because again, we trade a lot of HP. Just go ahead, top that off, because crit damage by itself isn't really going to do anything, but we might get primed crits later. It's honestly a gamble. I'm greeding here by taking some crit damage. I accept that. But if you were to take HP here, very sound decision, because it's technically worth 75 quillings, and we're trying to be stinking rich. In fact, that just... I should take this for the meme at this point. Greedy Pilfer. Increased range can pilfer multiple enemies at once, but will cost is increased by 1. I like the up tier on Colossal Seismic Slam. I almost think I want to reroll this. We want the negative cooldown. Thank you. Next. Alright, do we need to visit this this fool? Sorry, we're going to check some quests. This video is going to be very long, but I feel like I've been making some good discussions. So hopefully that's worth it for you guys. No, we don't have to go to this nerd. He would give us a blue that we can reroll with our money. What would we want? Might be too late to pick up sovereigns, not necessarily, because we can get... So if we're doing battering ram, we don't need to do -1 will cost. What we could do is we could do negative cooldown, daze, damage. In that case, it does some very chunky damage, but also dazes enemies. Then we crush them for even more damage. Very good combo if we get Sovereign's Flag. But I don't know. We're going to get our legendary just by going here. And this is stuff that we want. So we're going to do it. What's our fish? Blue spine cod. I'll take it. Not the best, but you know. Steal an orb. With Will Thief, this seems pretty bad since it's not every turn. If this was Blink, 100%. Yep, Blink every turn. Make orbs. I'll make 3 orbs. You think I won't? Shatter, we already have an access to Shatter. It is kind of notable because sometimes we can't deal damage to the target that we want to single target. And once we get -1 cooldown, now battering ram can be a situation where we dash up to a target, technically shatter them, crush them, and then we pick up an orb, we can dash again, and then we get that bonus damage. And maybe we find something that's actually better than Shattered Crown. I could see that. I could honestly see that. I could also see plus 30 damage to on seismic. Like this augment has wanted me to grab it the whole frickin' build. Maybe we give in. I don't know. Seismic Slam seems like it's almost like killing trash, which after we get out of... Well, I guess the captor fight, it's pretty good. But after we get out of there, it's no longer a thing. I think we've gone past the point to where it's useful. The most useful would have been when it up-tiered and appeared super early. Shattering Shield Bash is fine. Fine, I guess. We can make this work, is what I'm basically trying to say here. But then we're not going to have this be 0 will cost. We said that we're okay with that. So we'll do it. We're not going to use 45 damage. We're saving a purple here so that it can deal plus 100 damage, because that's funnier, in my opinion. Seismic Slam, Inflicting Shatter. Okay, now that's too much. What's the other green here? Is gain 1 shielding per enemy hit exclusive? Hold on, I would technically take Quick and Pilfer, but I does have to know. It is, but we have tiered, or we can't be offered 2 of these. Okay, Colossal Seismic Slam. Okay. What do we got here? On collecting an orb, smite all enemies. Oh, pretty good. I'm not against that. Byron the Talking Book does everything that we want to do. The problem is that sometimes it turns off Parsimonious. Are we okay with that? Because I suppose if it turns off Parsimonious, it's because it's giving us AP, and if we have that AP, we're probably just absolutely destroying things. So I think Byron might be okay. Otherwise, Omic Orb Walkers, we don't have any AP scaling. We don't really pick up a lot of orbs in this build. It's 50 all damage every turn, which is pretty much what we're trying to get out of Seismic Slam. It's not unnotable, but I think that it's just not going to cut it here. Prime Essentium is probably the easiest thing for us to grab, because we're always going to take 2 damage because of the fact that we're picking up orbs. And then it actually makes Braced Belt something that we keep till the end of the game, because then when we trade a little bit of damage here or there, it just becomes shielding the next turn, and then we just have to keep the shielding up. And, well, I mean, it's pretty much going to play itself at that point. We could still get cracked open, but when we get cracked open, we actually trade health. It just gives us more shields the next turn. It pretty much prevents death spirals, if you will. Do we want a blue Og that badly? Good question. Good question. Because the reason I ask is because this is a glyph globe, and I think we're fine. I don't think we need it. So we take more money, right? That's the haha funny. And then this is probably going to end up being a cooldown on Pilfer, is the Og. Unless we up tier again. We've been getting a lot of that. Okay, first things first. Shatter everybody. Can we get all... oh my good lord. And guess what? Power Orb. I'll get you. You're not getting away. I gotta steal from you or somebody else. In fact, that's a good point, ain't it? A yoink? We also have a spare potion at this point, and Vengeful Infusion doesn't really do anything for us. So this is probably the situation where we're going to use this. It might be next turn too, because at that point there should be 3 rhinos. But I also think that it's just going to be here. Oh, there's one of you guys up there. What the heck? Oh, you've got freaking fizz... you both got fizz resistance? Not fair. Stab. So then we're going to just wiggle out. Snap that guy. There we go. So be it. Like, a majority of our damage is coming from this guy, so if we can take care of him, that'd be great. And I think I am willing to take this hit here. Right there. We got to steal from someone. Yoink. Then get stuffed. And then I guess we're going to dash on in through there. And this doesn't matter. Boop. Okay. Hey, look at that. More damage. We're starting to get to like the 10 power territory. 10 power is great because that's pretty much like, depending on, of course, how much defense you got, where you're going, what your skills are. I like to consider 10 ability power like you're ready to win the game. And anything up near like 20 is you've won the game. Like, please stop. They're already dead. We're not taking Stunning Shield Bash. Stop. If we reroll here, we will get negative cooldown. Okay, so the shielding on enemy hit is like exclusive. I don't think that that should be the case. Okay. Reduce the cooldown so that we can steal more monies. Watch, we're going to hit frickin' Pilfer here. I promise you guys, if we hit Pilfer, I will ascend it. I will do that for you. Son of a bitch, I didn't actually think it was good. Well, okay. Heist means that we don't have to... Like, this is actually kind of cracked, actually. This is when Pilfer really pops off. Heist, really don't care. It's nice because we're able to save money for the last shop reroll. But otherwise, it's a thing. Alright? Plunder sometimes gives you fish. So you can just stack 3 fish for the final fight if you have 2 in hand, and then you also like drop a fish off of an enemy. Like, good lord. Of course, most of the time it's going to be a prickly puffer, so you do have to factor that. But yeah, no, I've seen like plunder really pop off, especially if you happen to have what is it, Chalice of Champions, the cup. If you have the cup, that's a scaling option now, because you know that at least, like, I mean, if you steal from 2 people in a fight, generally we do 1, you should be stealing from at least 1 in a fight. You can just use everything you have, and then still, like, procure more. It's kind of like Alchemist Tool Belt, except it now takes a spot of your ability bar instead of one of these, which is better. Let's do heist. Let's do some heist action. What do we want to do here? Do we not go to the Carver's Refuge because haha funny? Rerolling the final shop is probably better for us anyway. We'll go to the Tethered Shrine. I'm hoping for more physical damage. A shielding would be very nice. Crit chance. I'll take 6% crit chance. Certainly not worth a reroll. Oh man, how funny are we trying to go? Like, do we need to make a point? Oh man. Oh man. Alright, Potion of Power. I mean, it's the right move, isn't it? It's the way the game is played. Antelopes! It's like really freaking good. You're not really dying, are you? That is an issue. We should have enough shielding. We'll take like 3. I'll trade 3 for this. Probably going to end up just using it on a stat shrine anyways, like getting our health back. Oh god, we're in the goop. It's okay. We've got battering ram. That'll get us out of here. Yeah, don't worry though, we've got battering ram. That'll get us into here. And then we'll just slurp on out here and make sure that we kill this pot. Might have to use this Potion of Power. I'm not against it. Go ahead, get that for the bonus damage, and then we're just going to start clapping fools. Yeah. You're rooting me. I will not be rooted. This is a lot of pen nibs. Like, and with Jug, these guys would have been dead already. God damn. Let's make sure that we're as close as possible to this edge here. This is looking good. I like this. We're out. Go ahead. Shield up, even though we technically didn't need that. And we shouldn't forget to whoop, steal. What the heck are you guys doing over there? Was I not invited to some sort of party? Some sort of cruel joke? Can I get... Magic Pixel has to exist, right? Heck yeah, it does. Bloop. Okay. Let's... I kind of don't want to wiggle with that orb, so let's just clap once. Well, now I feel like a chump. Yeah, okay. We are all having fun. We're going to hit you orb. We are going to steal from you, because you're probably going to be the last person alive. Then we're going to crush. Burn doesn't quite get you guys? You serious? Well, I'll tell you what then. You are going to be destroyed. Completely and utterly destroyed. In the name of the Moonies. Gladly. Oh my god. That means that Seismic Slam can actually be used. Which is huge because we're getting defense from it. And then it also gives us some DR. Heal, I guess? Okay. No, we're not seeing Greedy Pilfer. Negative cooldown is exclusive? I guess I understand it on Pilfer, but... Ew! Take me back. God damn. We don't have a way to vacuum seal enemies. And I don't want to spend 2 on that. I was under the assumption that negative cooldown wasn't exclusive and we'd be able to guarantee it. Gross. Like, honestly gross. I'm sad now. Give me more stats. Give me some physical power. More crit damage? Okay. We'll deal double crits, like 12% of the time. I'm fine with that. Alright. I'm gonna pretend being sad now because we get to absolutely wallop people. I'm gonna steal from you. What did we get? Ringleaders! Oh my god! The RNG is crazy. Okay. I think this is what we gotta do. Burn first. I missed Captor. Of course I did. We're fine. I guess we should actually get that burn on you. Alright. Look at that crit, though. Oh my god, we're going to do so much freaking damage. Oof. We're going to take the time to steal from you, though. And Thanalopes it. Alright, we are chugging. Excuse me. Here we are going to slam. We're going to put burn on the box. Power orb. Probably should have dashed beforehand, admittedly. We're going to use a little bit of wiggling because we do not like these pots. Pick up that. Pots. And then, do we honestly have to move out of the way here? We might have to. We're going to trade a little bit of health here. The majority of that is coming from the Captor, because we have 1 Soul Shackle. Where are you? You're hitting right there. So it's actually mainly you who's dealing damage to us. And we can kill you. Unfortunately, we cannot also dodge this Rhino with Plat Cannon. Glass Cannon. Interesting. Okay. So this is going to remove 12 damage. This is going to remove 18 damage. Okay. I'm fine with that. Oh, that's actually what it is. We're getting debuffed again. So it actually was better for me to probably destroy that man. Alright, let's go ahead and use this again. And then we're going to do this. Majority of that was us taking 2 orbs last turn, and we still ended up just fine. Okay, so this is what we want to do. We want to dash through. We want to steal. We want to destroy you two. Pick up another orb, and then dash through you again. We're going to trade a little bit more health. This is perfectly fine. We don't grab stats anyways. Give me that ringleaders. That'll help. Ooh. Cataclysmic? We're not re-rolling here, so it's either Cataclysmic or Avalanche, and I'm not feeling Avalanche because we have no magic power. So we're going to take some Cataclysmic. And we didn't have to re-roll, which is huge. Huge. Because we want Charge Shield Bash. And that means that we can re-roll the next one to possibly be Discounted Seismic Slam. And then we actually want to Thanatos it to give us shield during the last fight. It's dealing some damage. It also crushes things. It's a lot more usable. So, yep. All about it. God, this is going to be an actual hour-and-a-half run. My apologies, people. I'll try not to explain, like, the Shadow of Runestone fight for, like, the 50,000th time. Okay. Light bomb on that last enemy was kind of annoying, but we'll get there. Our buff kind of went away on this thing? Did I see that right? Okay. We didn't use Heist, right? And then, of course, we set our mojo off just to prove that. We probably could have waited on that. I just, you know, when I see a bug, I have to must smash. We're going to take some damage here. Or are we? Maybe it's a incendiary to improve damage. And then we dash out this way. We're fine. Not having Colossal right now is kind of a downer. We really scuffed ourselves by testing that bug. Well, I guess getting an extra one of these in isn't too bad. Don't worry, we are going to steal. Don't worry, YouTube. I got you. All right. Okay. Roots of Reprieve is interesting. Anyways, so here's how I'm feeling. Let's actually first take a look at what we got here. I don't think this is going to be anything nice. It's not. Restored HP. Okay, so we're looking good. We want the -1 will cost. That sounds great. We could steal additional amounts of Quillings just to be, again, a little haha funny, but at this point, no, we're going to win the run. We are going to re-roll this until we get something that we want. When you have done a money build, just to make sure that you guys have the tech, it is significantly cheaper to re-roll this and get a free item than it is to spam re-roll at the final shop to spend 400 for a legendary or 250 for a purple. And you can up tier these into legendaries. None of these are pretty good. I mean, Archaic Innards isn't bad. It saves us 1 will, but eh. Paradigm Shift is probably fine with our build because we have all 1 costs with relatively low cooldowns, and also we have, what is it, Thanalope? Not feeling it. Pile of Tiles, okay. What we're really looking for here is we really want to see Bone Calcifier or Malformed Tracing, stuff like that. Stuff that's actually going to scale our endgame damage. Now, it's Bone Calcifier here. This absolutely probably replaces Shattered Crown. I think it replaces Shattered Crown. Anyways, this is ours. Maybe it doesn't replace Shattered Crown. Would it replace Braided Acacia? I suppose it could. Having the global shatter is just nice. Not necessarily having to charge something.
Just because I'm gone, don't mean anything's free. With the deepest of respect, Kava.
Rude. Mumsy's Money Machine. And Malformed Tracing. Okay, so here's the deal. Mumsy's is obviously best in slot for us. We take it. We will have 900, which is 18 ability power. If we take Malformed Tracing to make up for the fact that we no longer have, like, +1 will, and we take Blue Spine Cod, I think that does it for us. What does Malformed Tracing replace? Brace Belt? Doesn't seem like it. Maybe we don't do Malformed Tracing? It feels like it's... It feels like we do Malformed Tracing, though. Like, its combination with Primacentium is good, but also just using Ironclap a couple more times is good for Primacentium. Also just killing enemies because we have Mumsies. Shout out to Mumsy, by the way. Yeah, I think that's the case. Mumsies, Braced Belt, Malformed, Parsimonious. We almost had 666. Come on. So we're going to get 13 ability power, which is, again, getting into that range where I'm like, we have way too much damage. Because that's like triple damage with physical skills. And we crush things. Like, we crush things. Man. Oh, okay. Like, that's our seismic slam right there. We're going to do this every turn. Unfortunately, Mumsies is not retroactive. It's on first turn, gain until the end of combat for every Quellings you have. So if we steal money, we're not going to get anything here. So at this point, Heist is cute. We're not going to use it. Like, it's possible that I was supposed to burn you first so that you took a little bit more damage from that, but I actually think what the move here is. Lap. And just walk behind you. Teleports behind you, nothing personnel kid. I'll actually trade here. Just to get another stack of crush out there. Also, like, pre-aims the hands where we want them to be, which is pretty nice. So we're going to always open with that. The hands now don't do any damage. The only thing that's dealing damage to us is actually these guys down here. So we want to take care of them. We're going to charge through there. We're going to charge through these boys. And then we're probably just going to start bullying them from behind. We should probably take our frickin' fish. A fish. And then this is going to cause 1 crush, which is dealing, like, in this situation, it's dealing that was probably the 240, I'm guessing, because our clap doesn't do that much. No, this is probably the 240. Where the heck? Anyways. If we can trade, we want to trade. Because it just means more damage later. And it also means more shields later, right? Like, this was the setup. It's very important that we destroy you. And then I think we want to wiggle using you to make sure that we're aiming you in the right direction. Blue? Okay. You guys are next. Oh, this is just gonna phase him. Whoops. Okay. So I guess, I mean, we have the extra time. We will. Teehee. It's haha funny. All right. God, that's so good. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. My nephew is being an absolute creature right now. Alright. Can I get you? Good. I'm not quite gonna get you, though. Where am I okay trading damage? Am I actually okay trading damage anywhere? What is a man? Weird. Okay. So I think this is actually where we want to be. Okay, you're aiming correctly. I guess, like, do I want you to slam? Probably not. So then, can we hit, like, you too? Yes, we can. Okay, that's good. Then we're going to wiggle up. Put ourselves where we want to be, and then I guess, just... If I steal from you, does it make you upset? Probably. I should probably know that stuff. Anyways, boss is probably not going to survive much longer now. I don't like that you are protecting him from the punch, though. There we go. Give you some damage taken. We are trading well, so we will trade. We've already stolen from you, unfortunately. There we go. Alright, again, apologies for the duration. I suppose when I first started, like getting up to the higher ranks, I told you that these would be an hour and a half. So maybe some of you guys are already expecting that. But hopefully the run was educational. Hopefully it was entertaining. Maybe I had too spicy of takes. If you needed some rancher honey for that, go ahead and put that down in the comments below. Otherwise, if you have any other sorts of feedback, be it questions, comments, misplays, concerns, be sure to put that down there. And until next time, we'll catch you guys around.